10 years had unfolded since we pledged our lives to one another, a period I thought was stitched together with love, loyalty, and harmony. Our home was beautiful, our 2 children were our joy, and our existence felt stable and safe. But one quiet evening, as we sat down to dinner, my wife dropped a bombshell that shattered my reality. In a cold, almost mechanical tone, she confessed to having been unfaithful since the day we married. At first, I thought she was joking. A shaky laugh slipped from my lips as I waited for her to admit it was a cruel tease, but her face stayed impassive. Her eyes were steady, her expression blank. She admitted she had never truly considered me her one true partner, and had been entangled with others, several others, on and off throughout our marriage. My heart clenched. A cold wave surged through me, stripping the warmth from my cheeks. That night, sleep evaded me as I replayed every moment we'd shared. Every vacation, every photograph, every gentle word. Had it all been a lie? The next morning, as I looked at our children, a dark suspicion crept into my mind. What if they weren't truly mine? I had never doubted their lineage before, but now I felt driven to know. Without telling her, I organized DNA tests, providing samples from myself and both children. For 7 days I waited, struggling to keep up a pretense of normalcy at home, behaving as if nothing had changed. Inside, though, I was a storm of rage, fear, and grief. When the email with the results arrived, my hands shook as I opened it. The truth hit harder than her betrayal. Our eldest, our son, was not my biological child, though our daughter was. A hollow numbness washed over me as I stared at the screen. The life I had treasured, everything I held dear, was rooted in deceit and falsehood. She had robbed me of the truth, of the connection I believed I had with my son. I didn't confront her right away, choosing instead to plan a response that would stay with her forever. Over the next few days, I made arrangements. I contacted both our families, inviting them to a special dinner where I'd reveal exciting news. I also invited a few close friends, and everyone happily agreed to come. On the night of the gathering, everything was perfectly set. Plates filled, glasses brimming, laughter echoing through the room. My wife glowed with charm, unaware of the tempest about to erupt. I stood, tapped my glass to gather attention, and announced I had something important to share. The room fell silent. I began by thanking everyone for being there. Then, facing my wife, I said, "Do you remember admitting recently that you've been unfaithful since our wedding?" She went rigid, the room's warmth dissolving into a heavy stillness. I placed an envelope on the table. "These are the DNA results," I went on. "It turns out only one of our children is biologically mine." Gasps rippled across the table. Her face turned ashen, and she tried to speak, but I raised a hand to silence her. "No," I said with resolve. "This is the reality you chose to create. Now we all know it." Her parents' faces twisted in disbelief. My family sat in stunned quiet. Our son, too young to understand the gravity, looked merely confused. Then came the final blow. "I've already consulted a lawyer. Divorce papers will be filed this week. You can have the house. I only want joint custody of our daughter, and freedom." Her facade crumbled. Tears poured as she begged for a private talk, insisting she loved me, pleading for mercy. But her words rang hollow. The following day, I packed my things and left. The story spread like wildfire through our social circles. Friends rallied around me, and her once spotless reputation lay in ruins. My actions weren't fueled by spite but by a need for truth, closure, and fairness. Over time, I rebuilt my life. I remained a steadfast presence for my daughter, and worked to be a positive influence for my son. Despite the lack of a biological tie, he still saw me as his father, and I refused to take that from him. My wife tried repeatedly to reconcile, but I never looked back. She had made her choices, I made mine. The truth, though agonizing, set me free. I learned that revenge doesn't need to be loud, it only requires resolution.